Crazy. Crazy. Okay. Shelli, thank you so much for coming today. We really appreciate this. It's
I'm excited. Can you hear me okay?
Hear you loud and clear.
Okay,
Anybody else can? Okay, good. Yeah, just testing all the things right now. Zoom's getting connected. We're connecting to Facebook. We're connecting to outer space. You know, we are broadcasting this to Mars, you know.
Exciting.
Exactly. Exactly. Very, very cool. Excellent. Good stuff. So
I'm going to let you know right now, if we open up an office there, I'm not going. You will have to hire
on my
somebody else. Yeah, you'll have to hire somebody else to go into that office.
I'm on my own. Okay, well, you got to do what you got to do. Tess, how was your open mic today?
It's pretty good. I got a referral from a past client, and they wanted to buy an income property, maximum 1.5 million. And my God, I was on the phone with her for the longest time, asking a lot of questions. But that tells me that you're very interested, you know? And I was able to cover everything.
That's great. That's great. You're asking a lot of questions because you're interested and you want to get all the right stuff. And you don't want to be running around on leads that are getting you nowhere, right?
Exactly.
Plus
the buyer. So I have no attachment to that.
Let me ask you something. When you're on the open mic, do you think you do a stronger job? Do you work a little harder at it? What's that experience like for you?
I think, well, first, it was kind of nerve-wracking because I'm not really sure of having people listening to my conversation. But because you know that like 20 million people, or no, just kidding, are listening. But you get more focused and you prepare and making sure that you have the right conversation and more focus on that conversation. Well, I'm focused, of course, because that for me is a lead. It didn't matter, you know.
It steps up your game a little bit, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, I see a lot of you that are doing the open mic with us, stepping up your game. That's fantastic. Okay, well, we'll talk more about that a little bit later. Okay, so Mastermind with Neil Schwartz. Welcome, everyone. We have a great guest with us. Shelli is with us. Shelli is in the house.
Right.
I love it. That's fantastic. We are broadcasting live to Facebook Live, and we're also broadcasting live to YouTube. So we're basically 20, 30,000 people, right, Tess? Isn't that what the number seems to be? Yeah, right, absolutely. Yeah, or 2,000 or 3,000 or 2 or 3. Exactly. Well, Shelli, I really appreciate you coming by today.
Thanks. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you. You were on vacation last week, I think, right?
I was, yes.
Yeah, where did you and the family end up going?
So we took actually a 17-day RV trip.
Wow.
And I was telling people, I'm like, they call it once in a lifetime because we will only do it once. But it was really fun. And my boys are 8 and 11. And so we kind of went all through the Rockies and we did a lot of really memorable things. It was fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. As I recall talking to you a couple of weeks ago, you were preparing for this trip. You were sharing with me that a lot of times the goals and the reason for getting up and doing what you do on a regular basis is tied a lot to travel. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct. That is how I set my goals. It's based upon what I want to experience that year. And oftentimes that correlates to where we want to travel because I live in Omaha, Nebraska. And let's be honest, there's a lot of better places to be. So we make a lot of effort to travel a lot.
Okay, well, that's very cool. Anytime you get a chance to get out of Omaha, right?
You're telling me, yes. Yes.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. Shelli, why don't you take a couple minutes and kind of give us the Reader's Digest version? You're from Omaha, but how long in the business? Where does your business generally come from? What'd you do before real estate? A little bit of that.
Sure. So I started real estate in '07, and many people who know the Mike Ferry world know Deb Cizik, and she was the reason I joined real estate. She actually asked me to be part of her team. And so I learned from one of the best. I was with her for about 5 years and then have been on my own ever since. Before real estate, I went to school in Lincoln, Nebraska, but then I lived in California for a while, and Colorado. Came back, and Omaha started changing and growing. And so it was exciting for me to be a part of that growth and to continue to be a part of that growth. And I will do about 100 deals myself, between 90 and 100. And then I have 2 girls that work as buyer's agents, and they will do a combination of approximately 40 to 50 deals. So that's how my team is made up. And then we have one admin, and she's a rock star, and she does the job of what usually 2 people would do. And so she really is my listing and pending coordinator, and she's amazing.
That's great. Fantastic. And most of your business listing side for you?
Yes. So I am about 70% listings, and majority comes from center of influence, and my secondary source is for sale by owners. I will do some expireds. As we all know, they just aren't there as much as they used to be. But the center of influence is definitely my main gig.
Great. Fantastic. Good. Perfect. Actually, we had Deb Cizik share with us last week. She came in and visited with us, and you're right. She's a tremendous person. And
Absolutely.
You learn from one of the best. There's no question about it. Good
Yes.
for you. So, so the business, the past client and sphere, did you start with nothing when you left Deb's group and have to build your business from there? Kind of how did that work?
Sure. So I network a lot. And so, when I was on Deb's team, I was still generating my own leads. And so through the networking and then just starting with a database, because I'm from here, I did have a core to start with, but you don't need that to start, right? You just need to know a few people and have clients, and then that just keeps growing. But I'm very religious about calling them every quarter, very religious about asking for referrals. And for me personally, it's easier to talk to people I know. And so that's just kind of where I focused. That's not everybody's strength, but that is personally what I like doing the best. And so I've just continued to grow that. And my coach keeps helping me get rid of the people I don't want to talk to and grow and adopt other sides of the deals, etc.
Got it. Perfect. Excellent. So I hear all the time from agents, maybe it's a West Coast thing versus a Midwest thing. I hear all the time that agents don't want to call their past client and sphere their friends because it sounds like begging for business. That ever affect you or be on your mind at all?
Yeah, and I would say that my friends in my database, I will talk to them outside of business also. So I just make it an effort to say, everything I say, literally, I've learned from Mike Ferry. So, but I just will say, this is just my quick business call for the quarter, and who do you know? And a lot of times they'll even keep track of who they know because they know I'm going to call them. But if I started out with this is the business call and they already know they're going to expect to hear from me every quarter, it's not awkward. But again, that was a learned habit. So it was something I learned and practiced and, got better at.
What'd you do before real estate, Shelli?
I did broadcast journalism. So I was doing sports broadcasting.
Good for you.
Yeah,
okay.
Thanks.
Very cool. Very cool. So that's kind of a leap, though, from sports broadcasting to selling houses.
Yes.
Is there a story there?
Well, it sounds a lot more glamorous to do sports broadcasting, but frankly, there's no money in it. And in Nebraska, there's really no sports. So it was a sacrifice to come back here to get married. But that's what led me back my family. So
Okay.
yeah.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking there, and we were talking about the COVID-19, or we weren't talking about it, but one of the things that you brought me to the COVID-19. So do you do business differently because of that, or did it just go through and never change the way you were doing business?
I mean, it's so constantly changing. I was planning to do this call from my office, and we got an email like 2 hours ago. And our office, we have a big office. There's like 500 plus agents in our office, and 2 of them have COVID. And our broker just told us that. And so, it's constantly changing. There are no symptoms. There's no anything with those 2. So it's like we're adapting no matter what it is, whether it's doing a Zoom call from home now, But yeah, I mean, it's constantly changing, and I'm just trying to be as respectful to everybody, because as we all are finding, there's really no right or wrong right now, right? So it's like whatever my clients are comfortable with. So if they would rather do it over a Zoom call, I'll do that. If they want to meet in person, I'll do that with certain precautions. And everyone so far is okay with it. It's just like constantly adapting.
Okay, got it. So when you call your past client in Sphere,
Mm-hmm.
and you said that, this is a business call, et cetera, during COVID, did you modify that script at all and make it a little bit more, I'm a resource, or how did that work for you?
Yes, that's a really good point. And right now my calls are almost like just checking in on people, but letting them know, I mean, our market is on fire. So we are having a lot of sales occur, and we don't have the inventory to support that. So I'm telling them stats, because that's the only thing I can really do right now. I don't want to get into the emotional side of things or the mental side of things. So it's just very logistical with stats. And our stats right now show that just in our office alone last month, and I don't know how this compares to other offices, but you could use this just in any way. But like our office last month in June had approximately 900 listings go into the MLS. It's just our office, and then our sales, so things that went pending, were 1,500. So clearly we have a lack of inventory. And again, that's my message right now, because I don't want to get into the politics of anything, right? I just want to send a message. I'm your resource. I'm here to help you. If you have friends that want to list, but they're scared or they don't know how, I'll walk them through that. And I take a very help approach. I'll be here to help you. I want to help your family. It's all about not the person, but using the words like, what is your family goals? Where does your family want to be? Using that kind of language, so it's not too salesy, I guess you could say.
Okay, good.
Right now, especially.
So you went into quarantine probably around the 15th of March-ish,
Correct.
Something like that, right?
Correct.
And you used that script and probably went through, how many past client in Sphere do you have?
It's about 1,300.
Okay. And you try to call them once a quarter, or what are you doing right now? Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I have my A list that I will call sometimes more than that. But, I'll admit, the rest of March, I didn't really work. I was going through emotions and different things, and I didn't want to call anybody because I didn't want to offend anybody by looking like I was talking business. And unless they called me, I wasn't really putting out much of an effort. And I have beat myself up over that over time, with even April being a little bit loose, but it's we can't beat ourselves up about it. But I know now, even as things seem to be on the rise again, people are looking at me, and they're looking at all of us, and they're watching to see what we do, because we are community leaders, because we are representing, people's largest assets. We're representing a large portion of what is happening in our cities. And so they want to know what's happening with real estate. And so I want to be the person they think of.
Got it. So do you do that through social media, Facebook, Instagram, etc.?
Yes, I do. I do my calls. I do mailers.
Sure.
And I'm really, really active in my school system. And I do that calls with them too, or things along that line. But then, yes, I do. I have somebody that runs my social media and Facebook for me, but then I will do, the stories or whatever myself a lot of times. But I try to keep things always going, because again, you never know where someone's going to pick something up.
Sure. Okay. Got it.
Mhm.
So let's switch gears slightly for just a second. I want to talk about the mindset, because you alluded a little bit to that, where it was starting to get to you going in and out. May, April, you didn't say May, but you did say April a couple of times. And so how does Shelli work on our mindset? I mean, is it books? Is it podcasts? Is it, what gets you out of the house, or not so much out of the house, but on the phone, doing what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it? How's that work?
So again, I've been doing this with Mike Ferry for a while, so a lot of it is like trained. But I mean, I have a morning routine that's pretty strict, and it starts with working out. And so I don't, as someone in my mastermind group said, I don't really work out to look fit. I work out to feel fit in my head. And
Great thought.
Yeah. And I think the older we get, the more that is important. And so I really do it for the mental balance. And so that's a big part. And then right now I've got these kids at home. So it's balancing a lot, but I have help. I have a nanny, and it's having a good morning routine. And then I do, as you alluded, I do listen to different podcasts. I do read quite a bit. And I have my kids, they know my goals. So they know how many houses I need to sell every week. And they ask me, because they will correlate that to what they get. So, it's
Yay,
really,
Mom.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're a part of it. They're a big part of it.
That's great. So you actually, do you set goals with them and tie, okay, I need to sell 10 houses so that we can go on this once in a lifetime, never going to go again 17-day trip? Is that how that works?
Right. And I mean, again, for the Mike Ferry people out there, many of you know Valerie, and she said something several years ago, and it just resonated with me, and it has stuck. And it is like, she's done at 3, and she was done to go riding her horses, right? Well, for me, it was, I wanted to pick my kids up. So I have had a very strict and efficient schedule on purpose.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I tried really hard to be done by 3 or 4. And they knew when I was going into our trip that I was going to have to extend those hours, but they knew maybe they weren't going to see me for the evenings for those couple days leading up, but they would get me for 17 days straight unbothered, right? So you set the intentions and the mindset and the goals with your clients. Well, you have to do it with your kids too. And so they know I future pace them with when they'll see me and what the outcome will be if I sell, the 2 or 3 homes that week. And so it's all part of it.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. So you use the children as part of your accountability program.
That's exactly right.
Got it. Okay. So there are days though, Shelli, where you get up, where you wake up anyway, and you don't want to do what you're supposed to do. How do you deal with that?
Well, it's always a choice. It's a choice. And I mean,
Yeah.
I'm human. There are times when I don't
Uh-huh.
have my normal routine. I don't, and I'm really hard on myself. And so, like many of us are, so I will forgive myself and work harder the next day, or I make a choice and say, I got to do it anyway, because tonight I want to go, out to dinner with this group of friends, or I want to go and do that. And so if I know I'm going to do something, I'll use that kind of as my, what am I looking for? My motivator.
Yeah, your lever. Your lever.
Yeah, right.
Got it.
But I
Okay.
am not always doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Okay. Okay. All right. That's fair. Fair enough.
Mhm.
So, okay. Post-COVID. So you said within 2 hours ago, the routine that you had lined out probably for the last 2 or 3 weeks got turned around again.
Yeah.
So obviously you're somebody that pivots very quickly. I mean, you took your business home, you got on you would never know. We would never know that you were going to do it someplace else and then ended up having to do it from home. We would never
Right.
know that. So kudos to you. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Because some people would just be totally flustered and go to the bar.
It's not a bad idea.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
But post-COVID, so where do you see, set me up here, closed and pending first half of the year, about what?
So I'm at 48 right now, closed and pending.
Okay. All right,
And I want to be over 50, obviously, and I'm not quite there. But I am very bound and determined. I have a great coach right now, and I'm bound and determined to make it up in some way. And it's just like I have to. So when I say I have to, I got to find it somewhere. And that's when I have to start maybe going more into the for sale by owners or more into the immediate business where I know I can have stronger leads. And
Okay, so
I think Robert
walk
said,
us through
leads turn into lead follow-up.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So where, tell me about that. So what are you going to do? Because we're at the same spot, okay? In most cases, we're either right at where we want to be, just under where we want to be, or we have a few people that are a little over where they'd like to be. But all of us want to finish 2020 really, really strong. Kind of
Right.
punch 2020 in the face, you know? Yeah, just get out of here, 2020. And give me a couple of things that you are going to focus in on in that, the rest of today and tomorrow when you get up. What is it you're going to focus in on?
So there's a couple of things. The lenders that we have that are really good lenders of ours, they are helping us continue to know, again, just the stats for these rates, because I think a lot of these younger buyers can be in a house much more affordably than they can be in their apartments, and they want the extra space from COVID. We're seeing, I think everybody's probably seeing, people are sick of their current living space and want to go somewhere else. And so it is just really encouraging them that, hey, and for me, I need to know, like, these are the rates, this is what you can afford. If you put this much down, like, you can do that, you can actually make this happen, and telling it to these buyers, we're telling these sellers, like, do you realize that houses are selling like at 101% right now? You realize that, right? And so, of course they don't realize that. So, it's just putting in their minds, like, I can help you do that. And so I have to practice being a little bit more assertive, continue to know my stats. I need to go face to face with more for sale by owners, which is a little bit scary for me right now because I don't want to turn people off, but I think I can do it in a way that if they're holding open houses or something where they're expecting people to come, I can be a part of that, because I know, as most agents, when we get in front of them, we can do it. It's much easier than over the phone.
Got it. Okay. All right. So a little bit more for sale by owner, a little bit more assertive. Okay.
Yep.
Anything else? More time, more practice?
Well, another thing too, my coach is saying, are you calling all your vendors right now and asking them for referrals? And so it's just another good source to remember, I've got all these handyman people or just different vendors that do stuff for my current clients. And, am I hitting all of them up for their people too? And I will say they're not in my normal quarterly calls. I really don't know why, but they're not. And so I just need to maybe pull that source a little bit better.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Very, very good. Okay. Let's you up for taking a couple questions?
Yeah,
See where
absolutely.
we go with that. Great. Okay. So let's open it up a little bit. If you've got a question, put it for Shelli, put it in the chat box, or send it to Facebook, or just unmute yourself and ask. So we have any questions?
So Shelli, a question came in to me is, you said you try to follow Valerie's schedule of being out by 3 or 4. So what does your schedule look like?
So I am, assuming I am not with my kids, I have my kids' activities like morning routine stuff done by 8:30, 8:45, and so I am a little bit later on the phone than I know people do on the coast. Sometimes we are lucky, I guess, in the Midwest to not have as many agents calling, but I'm on the phone between 9 and 11, like that's my time. And so 9 and 11, I don't have really any excuses, and people in my office know this, my staff knows this, my friends know this. So I just have to stay on that. And then my 2 appointment times are 11:30 and 1:30, and that can wiggle within 30 minutes. But I have learned, and it is, again, a trained habit, like those are my times. And so if you want to set a time with the doctor, I mean, all those things you hear, right? They don't meet in the evenings. And I have gotten better by practicing. And one of my favorite things to say is that, it is really best for me to see the house during daylight hours. And it gives me the best way to view the property both inside and out. And that is the time when most people will also be seeing your house. So I want to see it in the buyer's eyes. And most people can take time over lunch. I mean, now people can go whenever, right? But most people can meet during their lunch hour. And so I try really hard to tap into that. And then, I mean, sometimes I go over 3, absolutely. But even my mastermind group knows this. Anybody that knows this knows during school, when my kids have to be picked up at 3:15, I'm there every day I possibly can.
Got it.
And then at night, I will give myself grace like everybody. And if I have to work for an hour and I have to go into the office, my kids are very respectful about that. They just want to see me. They want to feel my presence. And that, to me, that's why I'm doing all this. So I want to do that.
Very good. You sound very disciplined.
Yes.
Got it.
And
Were you always
work.
Disciplined?
Pardon?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, that's okay.
Were you always this disciplined? Was this part of your nature, or
Yes.
was this learned?
No, this is always, I don't like to let people down. I don't like to let myself down. It's just kind of how I've always been. I've learned a lot of habits, but discipline is one that I just have always had.
Okay, excellent. So let's talk about complacency for just a second, okay? If you have a question, you guys put it in the chat box, but something just occurred to me as I'm listening to you talk. Did you grow up with money? Sorry?
I did, yes.
Okay, so your family had money.
Yes.
So it's normal for you to be somebody who earns, I think, my calculations, in excess of $1 million a year.
Yeah, so I did grow up with money, but I don't like to imply that I had full access to it. But what I did, my dad was a physician. And so I, had a new car on my 16th birthday, for example. But I didn't know I had it necessarily. But I always like to say, like, my sister, who was raised in the exact same house, like, she wanted to always be very lavish and, I don't know, more showy. And I kind of wanted to be more under the radar, and I didn't want that. And I still am more like that. But now I look at her and she doesn't have any sense of the dollar, you know? And I don't know, somewhere in it, I grew up knowing like, I know I want to have money, like I am seeing my family do now. I want to make sure I am self-sufficient so I can do it. And so I want to do those things for my kids. I want to do those things for my kids. So I will do whatever it takes to make that happen. And it's just, I mean, I always worked. I just always did.
So with that thought, because strong, disciplined woman, was that the role model from your mom, or did you have other women in your world that were role models like that?
My dad is like still my biggest role model. And the way he always was, it was so, and again, I get emotional. I mean, he's still here. It's not like I'm getting emotional because he passed or anything, but he was so real and just never made anybody feel, I mean, you would never know he was even a doctor because he just treated people so normal. And that's like how I want to be, right? I just want to treat people normal. I want to be nice to everybody. And I want people to want to do business with me because I am a strong woman, but because I am nice, you know, I want to teach my kids to be nice and work their ass off, and they will have a great life.
I love it. That's great. Great. Yeah. Thank you, Shelli. Other questions for Shelli? Other thoughts? Go ahead, Michael.
I have one. Hi, Shelli. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Hi.
Hi. Thank you so much for sharing, first of all.
Oh, sure.
I was going to quickly ask you, you mentioned that you had one admin that's pretty much doing two people's job. Is that correct? Right. Great. So how do you split the responsibility with your admin? So at what point, what do you do? At what point she takes over?
Really good question. I probably am more involved in the deals than other people, you know, at this number of transactions. I probably am a little bit more involved than I would like to be at times. But as soon as I get the listing paperwork signed, she takes over and she then coordinates the staging, which, by the way, I think everybody should have a stager on board. She coordinates the stager, the photography, the showings, putting the lockbox and signs up. I mean, she has people that do all of these things, but she coordinates all of that. She then is the one that tells them what to expect when showings begin. And then I do negotiate my contracts 80% of the time. And so I'm involved there. And then she handles the home inspection negotiations, again, most of the time, unless there's someone difficult. And then she coordinates the closing of it. So I'm really only involved in negotiating the contract. I do the Monday calls to call every seller on Monday and check in with them. And then I pass off any needs to her. And what I like about having just one person, I know enough agents that have several, so I don't say that one is the right thing, but those clients feel super comfortable with her because they started with her at the beginning and they finished with her at the end. And so it's very fluid.
Great. Fantastic. Good question, Michael. Thank you
so much. That's absolutely
very helpful. Yeah, very helpful.
By the way,
she did not negotiate home inspections at the beginning. She's been with me for 8 years, and that happened about halfway through her period of time here. And she's obviously compensated with a salary, and then she is bonus for every transaction that closes.
Got it. So is she licensed? When you first hire her, is she licensed or is she?
I paid for her to get licensed.
Okay, so she didn't have license when you first hired her, and then okay.
And she was a previous babysitter. So if you have any babysitters in your life, they are usually amazing assistants. Yeah. And it's just a great way to find one, by the way.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that even for the lockbox, she coordinates that, but somebody else does that for you. Like,
right. We then pay someone to put up the sign and lockbox.
You pay somebody, like local person, or to put on like a. That's a good idea. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shelli. Appreciate it.
Good. Excellent. Good. All right. Any other questions of Shelli before we wrap this up?
Shelli,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Albert.
I'm sorry.
First Albert, then Abigail. the A's.
Regarding the staging part, is this something that you have as part of your routine to every listing that you get, or you only do with the ones that are vacant? And what is your approach when you deal with when you get in the listing? Is it something you mention at the beginning and suggest so it's part of your listing presentation?
The staging?
Yes.
Yes. So I just started doing this. I think it's such a huge thing. We find that when the houses are properly staged, they are selling quicker and for more money. And so it is something that over the last year, I have adapted my process. And I now pay a gal. I mean, she's really inexpensive, but I've just collected furniture over the years, and I have a storage unit, and she uses my furniture and she stages my properties. And she will use their own furniture in their house, and then she'll arrange it. If she needs to bring in extra stuff, she will do that. And then if their furniture is terrible, we tell them that in a nice way that we have some great ideas and additions that can help them get more money. And we'll bring in the furniture that we've kind of just collected over time. I have a vacant house that just went on the market today, and we just staged the main room. So like the family room, the kitchen, the dining room, and the master bedroom. So those are the key areas that I want to focus on.
Now, do you normally request that in addition fee to that, or is this just something you do within your listing commission?
So I was doing an additional fee, and it wasn't going over that well. So if any of you guys have ideas, but I mean, really at the end of the day, I feel like per listing, it's costing me between, $300 and $600. I mean, it's not that much. Again, I live in the Midwest, so, but my average commission is $7,000. So $300 to $500 is nothing.
Got it. Thank you so much.
All right, good information. Thanks, Albert. Abigail.
Hi, Shelli. Thank you so much for sharing. Hi, how are you? Thank you for sharing your story with us. I just had a quick question. I seem to have, or I think since March, I've been collecting a lot of buyers, and I'm trying to get rid of my buyers. You mentioned that you have 2 buyer agents. Yes. And what do you do? Do you just qualify the client and then you pass on the buyer to someone else? How do you introduce the buyer's agent?
Mm-hmm. So I want to still work with some buyers. So I have a rule that one of my previous coaches taught me. And if I have to go out with them more than 3 times, they are not my buyer. I will pass them off. So that is our rule of thumb. And I only show like 1 or 2 houses at a time. So if I'm showing them more than 3 times, they are not my buyer. I will pass them off, no matter the price point. If they are someone I'm going to pass off, I pass off all of my Zillow leads, all of them. And then I will pass off other leads that I know or come to me by simply stating that my buyer's agent really does have the best knowledge of the homes, working with buyers as far as, that price point, that neighborhood. I say whatever it is that buyer wants, my buyer is the specialist in. So, because really they are, I mean, they're very knowledgeable. And so if they really want to be in the downtown condo area, turns out my buyer's agent is the best with downtown condos. So it's, and then I always, try to either say, I follow up with them. They went and saw houses that night. I'll call them and just say, hey, how'd it go? Did you find anything? How's it going with Adria? Asking those kind of questions so that I'm still involved in their minds.
Thank you.
Okay.
Excellent. And
Good. Go ahead.
I know the question may be a little bit, I don't want to ask the direct question of, what percentage do you take, but do you basically take a percentage back, or I
don't feel like it should be a secret. Again, I don't know if it's right or wrong, and everybody does things differently. This is just the way I operate and find the most success in, is we are 50-50.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that with me. I think a lot of agents don't share that. And
Yeah, I'm not saying it's right and I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just I have had people on my staff now for 7 years and they've never left.
Great. Excellent.
Good. Excellent. All right, good. Any other questions of Shelli here? Anyone else?
I think this question was answered, but how much do you pay the stager?
So she charges $125 now.
Okay.
So, and again, I have the furniture. So she does have some pieces that I might potentially rent from her in addition, but it is stuff I've just either got on sale or collected from previous sellers that don't want something that's in good condition. But so I end up having to also pay for, we get these free U-Hauls at our company. So that also helps. But so just ends up being between $300 and $600 per listing usually.
Got it. Good stuff. All right. Very, very good. Excellent information. Shelli, we appreciate you. We appreciate your time. I do have a very important question though before we move on. Where are we going next? What's our next vacation?
Oh, vacation. Next, we are going to a small little town in Colorado where you stay in these yurts. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this term, a yurt. It's kind of, I mean, it's like glamping kind of. So we're trying to make the best out of COVID and not getting on a plane right now. But I am set to come out in September to Napa, which is my kind of home away from home. So let's hope I can fly by then and feel comfortable.
Take a nice car.
That's true. That's true.
Just take a nice car.
Yeah.
All right, this has been great. Please unmute yourselves. Let's give Shelli a big hand.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you.
Hey, good job.
Thank you very much, Shelli. Thank you.
Shelli,
Thank you.
Shelli, you're okay with referrals to Omaha, right?
I mean, if you say so.
So will Robert or Miriam, if you would post Shelli's information in our group chat so we can do that, that'd be great. Again, Shelli, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So what we do now is the question I ask all of you is, what did we learn? What did we learn from Shelli that's going to help us move forward here? So who wants to go first?
I do.
Tess, go ahead.
Yes, I like the idea, which I actually am doing it. When she meant exercise, it's exercise on our brain in the morning. And I do that every day. I study every day. Sometimes, you don't get a chance to work out, but that is really good. And it really helps the mindset. And I love that. And
That's
I
good.
like her goal being connected with your kids, which it's very similar to what my goal is too. I want to make sure my kids are very aware about my goals so that when we take vacation in Thanksgiving, they know that we have to splurge. So I like that. That's really good. Thank you, Shelli.
Oh, thank
Good.
you. I appreciate hearing that.
Perfect. Very, very good. Okay, what else did we learn?
Yeah, thank you very much, Shelli, again. You gave some very, very good information. I took a whole bunch of notes here. I usually don't, by the way. And here I wrote down, you said to work out, not to get fit, but to feel fit. That's something that's really powerful. And also how you handle the admin, how you split the job responsibility, how you make sure the entire thing works, how you, split with your buyer agent. I think the entire process really is very, very down to earth, and it's all very concrete information. So appreciate you a lot.
Awesome. Good.
Great. Excellent. All right. Good job. What else did we learn?
Well, I wrote down this note, I think during the time, Shelli, you were talking about having a helpful approach. And one of the things that you said was people are looking up to us. And because we're representing their largest asset. And I just thought that was super important, that we have to remember that we're really big people in the community.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We
And
are
you're
an essential
representing your
service.
name everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Great, Valerie. Good stuff. Great. Thank you, Shelli. Okay, what else did we learn here? Robert?
So I got a number of things here, but I won't be super expressive and go through all of them. But first of all, for those of you that are looking to build a team, she said everyone on her team's been there 7 or 8 years. That is really hard to do, but it just shows that it can be done, because sometimes we have people build teams that go through assistance, seems like every couple months. You know, you got to treat them well and keep them there. But I did put down a great line she said is, be nice, work your ass off, and you'll have a great life. You know, I thought that was really great. And I also, you know, from a mindset perspective, Shelli, you said 48 closed and pending, right? So far?
Yeah, right now.
48 closed and pending. And Neil, you said, well, what do you have to do different? She's like, I got to be more assertive. You know, and it's like 48 closed and pending, and I got to be more assertive. So for some of us that are at 5 or 6, you really need to be more assertive. That 48 going, I got to be more assertive. You know, it's just a whole mindset thing. And then the third thing I had put down that I really liked when she talked about, it's really best for me to see your house during daylight hours. That's when buyers are going to see it. So you don't have to go 8, 9 o'clock at night to do these listing appointments. That was a great line. So thank you so much for sharing. I got a bunch of other stuff, but I'll get out of my turn.
Being conservative. Thank you, Robert. Good job. Okay, what else do we learn? Delroy, you have something?
Yeah, I was just earlier she said how correct me if I'm wrong, but most of your source of business came from
you want to say bye?
COIs.
You want to see everybody? You're gonna hold your up.
Yes.
Is that that's good. That means you do a lot of follow up and you stay in touch with people.
Yes.
And I find that very interesting, because a lot of us don't do that. You know, we get a lead and especially you call them 2 times and then you just toss it. If they're not they don't sound as if they want to do nothing. But I think that was good. You said and I'll keep that in mind. Follow your COIs. It's very important.
Good, perfect. Thanks, Delroy. I'm sorry, guys. My granddaughter just walked in, and I apologize for this.
Say hi to everybody. Say bye.
Bye. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody. Come on, sweetie. Thank you. Shelli, I apologize for that.
Oh my gosh, don't apologize to me.
Neil, does your granddaughter know what your goals are? Because Shelli's kids knows what her goals are.
My grandchildren know exactly what my goals are, and they know exactly where the American Express card is.
Yeah.
And they know, by the way, and they know exactly what it's for. Uh-huh. Yeah, because they don't have me, they have Nana. They have Nana money. Okay, so what else did we learn?
Actually, Neil, can I ask her a question, Shelli?
Please.
Your personality, you seem to be very likable, easygoing, but where do you fall in the personalities, and how do you go about mirroring what other people, your clients? What's your
So when I started real estate, I considered myself an amiable.
Mm-hmm.
And I still feel like that's me at the core, but I have learned to be extremely, and it's a learned habit. I will adapt to whoever I'm talking to. And I, took Matthew Ferry's class where I learned the practice of mirroring and matching. And so I try super hard to do that, because I now find myself being like, let's hurry up, let's get this going. Come on, look at this house quicker, sign the papers faster. But I have to learn how to talk slower, learn how to match their tonality. And I try to be just as adverse as I can.
Would you say that was one of the biggest challenges, being versatile?
It is, yeah, I think I just have to, again, I go back to, doesn't matter what personality style you are you being nice to the other person? And then just listening to them. And that is also a learned habit, is listening, not feeling the need to talk. And so they will think you're right if they talk more.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Second time this week, Dale Carnegie, make me feel important, right?
Right.
Exactly. We talk about that probably almost every day at one class or another. It's a great book. If you haven't read it, read it. If you've read it, read it again. Okay, so we're at 1:05. We have another thing that's going on. I don't want to mess with Shelli's time. We really appreciate you. Unmute yourselves. Let's give her a big hand. Thank you again.
Thanks for having me.
Right. Good job. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Very, very cool.